Well, here we are at the Moose Jaw Ford Curling Center. And of course, big news in our community in the last couple of days has been the announcement of the Scotties coming to Moose Jaw. And we've got the co-chair with us today, Mr. Glenn Hagel. He's becoming a regular. Welcome again, Glenn.
Well, good to be back and nice to be here doing yet something different. It's lots of good stuff going on in the community.
Well, yeah, and I think this is really good in your own personal life, is the fact that you're getting involved in the community in a way that, you know, you don't have to get elected to do it. You can just volunteer and they got to take you.
It's how does a guy get fired from this job? It really is kind of neat, though. In our home, Karen and I were not active curlers, but we've always been curling fans, and to have an opportunity to be involved in the Scotties in Moose Jaw, the first time you put the phrase together, it seemed to be quite a challenge, but along came the Canada Cup almost exactly a year ago, and ever since then I think people in Moose Jaw have had a whole different attitude about what we can do in curling here in Moose Jaw. Yeah.
And of course, referring back to the Canada Cup, that was your first date with your wife's post-political career.
It was, it was just about a year and a couple of weeks ago that I retired. So Karen and I had thought about that, and we thought, we should do something that we were retired now that we wouldn't be able to do. And the very first thing we did was we got tickets for the complete Canada Cup and enjoyed that. And in fact, we enjoyed it so much that within a few days, we had bought tickets and booked our rooms for the Roar of the Rings in Winnipeg to select our Olympic champions. So we know what we're doing next year, or next week, I should say, when the curling's going on in Winnipeg.
Yeah, and you're going to be cheering on even some Moose Jaw people there.
Yes, well, we always, the local favorite in Winnipeg may not be quite the same as the local favorite in the hearts of the people from Moose Jaw.
Really?
Yeah.
Who is the local favorite there? Do you think it's going to be Stoughton?
I expect so, yes. Yeah. And I think, and that'll be an advantage to him. I think sometimes when curlers are not so experienced, being local can be a disadvantage because the pressure is so great. But Stoughton, he's a veteran, and I suspect he will clearly be one of the ones to beat for sure.
Yeah, but it'll be great to watch Cooey and Pat Simmons.
And our guy Pat, absolutely. We'll feel a little proud about our Moose Jaw curling program.
And we may very well have Moose Jaw people involved in the Scotties when it comes, because, of course, Amber's an adopted daughter.
That's right. Yes, I think many people in the curling world and beyond consider Amber Holland to be a Moose Javian, and wouldn't that be neat when the Scotties come to Moose Jaw in 2015?
It'd be like the Grey Cup.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know if we could stand that, all that excitement again, but I think we'd be willing to try.
Yeah. So, of course, none of the teams have been determined or anything like that to come, and it'll be next season's. But traditionally, it's been a great event, and your humor when you were doing the announcement, saying, well, they're coming from Montreal to Moose Jaw. And you think that's kind of like the standard that should be set.
Exactly. It did really strike me, because the 2014 Scotties is in Montreal. And so Danielle and I, the co-chair Danielle Sosinski and I, will probably be going to Montreal for a bit of that to get some of the behind-the-scenes kind of contact and see how they're doing things. But it did kind of strike me, there's something kind of interesting about the fact that the Scotties go from Montreal to Moose Jaw, and what that says to me is that what does Montreal have? Montreal is a big city, got lots of organization, all those kinds of things, and the fact of the matter is, so do we. And but I think what Moose Jaw has that Montreal can't have, just because of the size, is we've got the small town friendliness. And so what that says to me is that probably our key advantage in terms of putting on a really, really good Scotties is the quality and the number of volunteers that we'll have from here in Moose Jaw.
Now, you're going to need about 500 people, I understand.
Yeah, between 400 and 500. We're not sure quite yet. We've got some things to do in terms of talking with the Canadian Curling Association about exactly what kinds of structures and how the process is. It will be very, very similar to the Canada Cup when we had it here, but there will be organizationally, there'll be some things that will be different. So how that translates into volunteer requirements, we don't know yet. We're not calling for volunteers now.
That's a point we should know. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
It'll happen after Christmas, I guess.
It'll in the new year. That's right. I know know there are people who are excited now and they'd like to get involved and become volunteers, and we're not ready to take volunteers yet. Before we take volunteers, we need to have clearly defined what it is we're going to do, and then what are the positions you need to do those things. And so we'll probably be 1 or 2 months into the new year before we put out a call for volunteers, and then volunteers will all be registered online. People will be able to do that from home. For those who aren't comfortable doing it from home, we'll set up something here at the curling rink that will give them a chance to come and register.
Yeah. Of course, we've got the backdrop of our 8 sheets of ice.
Absolutely.
But that's not where the rink's going to be. Of course, it'll be just like before for the Canada Cup, out in the arena.
Out in the arena, yeah. The answer is kind of yes and no. The Scotties themselves will take place in the arena.
Yeah.
But what there will actually be for the first time in the Scotties, there will be a competition on this ice before it gets converted to the Heartstop Lounge. For the first time, the structure is going to change for both the Scotties and the Brier. Northern Ontario will have a team potentially in the Scotties, the territory teams, and the Scotties, of course, always have Team Canada. What's going to happen the first time in Moose Jaw, the Scotties, is that the team that finished 12th in Montreal and the territorial teams and Northern Ontario will have a small tournament that'll start 2 days before the Scotties on this ice. And it'll select the last couple of contestants then to be part of the Scotties. So the other side of the coin is that on the Brier side, the Briers will from that point forward have a Team Canada and the Briers, which it's never had, and it's always had Northern Ontario. The women of Scotties has had Team Canada, but not Northern Ontario. So those things are it's a little bit of change in trying to bring the best quality curling and to give all Canadian provinces and territories a good opportunity to be there. Because as we all know, you got to be there.
You haven't come up with a logo yet, or a catchphrase for your branding, because like it was the Grey Cup have Huddle Up in Saskatchewan and Celebration in Rider Nation, and something catchy. Come throw rocks. Watch people throw rocks at each other. I don't know.
Well, at this point in time, in my mind, it's the Moose Jaw Scotties.
There's a real good connection in terms of staging time, because the Scotties Tournament of Hearts before,
Yeah, absolutely.
and now it starts on Valentine's Day.
Absolutely, yeah. Only in Moose Jaw
Yeah.
does the Scotties Tournament of Hearts start on Valentine's Day of Family Day weekend.
Yeah.
I think that really is. There's some, I don't know. It just says to me the sun, the moon, and the stars have lined up for Moose Jaw, is what it says, and it will be recognizing that the opening weekend is the long weekend, Family Day long weekend.
And not all provinces have that, so it's going to be nice for Saskatchewanians.
It will, and it means probably here in Moose Jaw for the Scotties. Typically in the Scotties, the Monday morning, often there's not a draw early in the week, but I think Monday will actually be a busy day here because it's a statutory holiday, it's Family Day, and so we're starting to think, what do we do to make it easy and interesting for families to come and take in the Scotties, particularly in that opening weekend, to celebrate coming as families to take in this national sporting event.
Yeah. And you've talked about the fact that in Moose Jaw, you said this is Moose Jaw's decade. You said some time ago. You might have to expand that, because like the 10-year limit is coming up, and we're still going.
Well, we still got a ways to go till the end of the decade, but I have believed for quite some time, and I continue to, that this is Moose Jaw's decade. This is Moose Jaw starting to change the face of Moose Jaw, not rapidly, but I think comfortably, and we're becoming a city that is more diverse in our demographics, I think, and also that sees ourselves as capable of hosting things that we never used to think were possible, of attracting kinds of entertainment and recreational opportunities for families of people of all ages, including families with children. This has always been a city that has great opportunities for kids, and I've long believed believed the combination of opportunities in the athletics and culture, as well as academics, make this a really healthy place for teenagers to grow up and form their own identities. We've talked about that in your show in different contexts before, but here we are again. This is part of that picture. And out of the Scotties, I think there will be yet another revival of interest in curling in young people. That spin certainly happened when the Canada Cup was here. There was a boost in the number of junior curlers, and I suspect that'll happen again after the Scotties.
Now, I know one of the junior curlers got chosen to participate in that, Carson Ackerman. He was pretty impressed when he got to, hobnob with the wheels and stuff.
It is, and it's so it's seen in the world of athletics, seeing the best in your country, and here in Canada, when it's curling, when you see the best in your country, what you're actually seeing is the best in the world. Canada always ranks high in the world of curling, and so it is kind of inspirational for young people who are looking for something that they can get involved in that's fun and recreational, and really our nation needs more and more of that kind of thing. That's why we need these facilities that we've got. They're so valuable to us, the R Centre and Mosaic Place, because they provide a good place for people of all ages to get involved and do running and jumping or sliding or hollering or whatever it is.
Hurry hard.
That's right. They can be hurrying hard. Oh, that's right, for sure.
Now, we've got like less than a minute to go, so let's gain the dates that people should plan to book off time from work. And
well, it all starts on Valentine's Day of 2015. So from the 14th to the 22nd of February, Scotties will be here in Moose Jaw. Tickets will start to go, will become available tail end of January, and then that'll be a full package, and then other variations after. But people will be able to buy tickets either online through the Canadian Curling Association or through the box office here at Mosaic Place.
And if you want to volunteer, don't be afraid to sign up when it's announced. And so, Glenn, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Success planned for you and your co-chair, and her addition to her family, which will happen daily.
That's right. Yes, Danielle is within a very short period of time of having her very first child, so that's pretty exciting for her.
It's a good way to kick it off.
Absolutely.
All right, so when we come back, we're going to have second, we'll call it Mayor Day. We'll be back in the mayor's office talking to Mayor Higgins right after this. Don't go away.